I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. It is August 12th. It is 9:21 a.m. There is a heat advisory. So please take care of yourself. Be extremely careful. The heat advisory will be in place for the next 2 days, both today and tomorrow. Saturday will also find itself quite warm. So remember to stay hydrated. If you can, stay indoors, stay cool, pace yourself. Look after your children and your pets, and look for those signs of heat exhaustion, dehydration. Stay hydrated, folks. As you can see, this is definitely a nationwide situation with this heat. And what's kind of scary about it is this Delta variant, right? We have hospitalizations increasing, ICUs increasing. We have some states that are really being overwhelmed again. Going back to 6 months ago when things were pretty bad and pretty bleak. School's getting ready to start for us here in the Pacific Northwest in a few weeks, and where other folks have already gone back. And unfortunately, we're still kind of arguing on, the vaccine, whether to mask or not mask. So it's all very concerning. And again, all of this is taking place during, the heat, right? This is the hot time. This is when people go outside and um, go about and do what they got to do. So I think it's pretty concerning, as I said before. Winter is coming. As you think about fall and winter, as the temperatures do begin to drop, as we go into our rainy season, uh, we will need to contend with the flu and with the Delta variant. And unfortunately, whatever may come next after that, because at this rate, and I don't see how we have any other choice but for this thing to continue to change and mutate, and we stay behind it as we try to get those to, um, vaccinate and, go back to wearing our mask and things of that nature. So I think it's all very concerning and unfortunate because this whole situation to me was very unavoidable. And right or wrong, you think about leadership. You have to make decisions, and you have to go with it. And you may come to find out that that wasn't the right decision, or you should have done it a little bit differently. And we don't have the benefit of hindsight when we're going through it. But I think leadership really is about um, making those decisions, the difficult decisions, and then following through. And not saying that you're not going to change direction when new evidence comes available, but just kind of the waffling, well, you're encouraged to wear your mask. Oh, you're encouraged to do this. We're not going to mandate anything, but we know that this is what's best. And, when you de-emphasize and make it kind of this thing where it's just doesn't really matter. It's not important. It'd be great if you did, but you know, and then we find ourselves in the situation. And there were many of us that were saying from the very beginning, you need to hold the line on this and say, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we're going to do. And until there's new evidence that supports otherwise, this is the way that it's going to be. And this is the best thing for the American people. And in regards to the economy, in regards to housing, in regards to employment, in regards to our public health, just everything, right? And you are starting to see how these things cascade as the hospitals do get filled. You know, elective surgeries and procedures begin to, they're start to be pushed off. Um, More serious issues, if you come in and you have a stroke or a heart attack or something very serious, and these ICU beds are taken up for people that are now sick with COVID, when a lot of this could have been preventable. This is it's tragic, and I would almost say borderline criminal, right? We've seen, folks going around coughing in people's faces, and the Karens and the Kens, yelling and screaming and losing their minds in public places. And, while we do need to be supportive of the people that are apprehensive, I was one of those people of becoming vaccinated. There's a difference between, for me, your personal apprehension for you and your family versus you thinking something isn't real and going out and willfully putting other people in danger. And listening to the stories of folks that are getting COVID and almost dying, that were anti vaxxers or whatever the case may be, now wanting to be a testimonial and say, hey, it's real, and this is serious, and I wish I could have did this. Give me the vaccine now, right? And I think of all of the lives that these folks have endangered. I think of the lives that they may have caused uh, to no longer be, right? So, anti vaxxing, I don't believe in it. I'm going to not only live my life, which is fine, I have no problem with that, but it's the actions and the activities of infecting other folks that destroy their lives. So when the father or the mother is gone from a family and they're destroyed and never really are able to come back from that. For the folks that have long haul COVID symptoms that could have been avoided, but because someone wanted to cough on them or be in spaces, and you know it's just very unfortunate. So I think leadership is important. um I've got a big announcement to make, and when I come on and I have conversations, I always want the conversation to be a learning experience, and I want it to be something for folks that they can take away something and put into their toolbox and improve uh, themselves and the lives of those that they care about. We are canceling the basketball tournament that was going to take place this Saturday and Sunday on August 14 and 15. It is necessary to do several factors, of course. You can see the Delta variant is increasing, and we were asking people to come together and gather and, have a good time. And the spirit of that, which is, definitely pure. And, shout out to little AJ for um, his heart and wanting to do something for folks and bring people together. At this point, just as I was just saying 5 minutes ago, uh, that wouldn't be the most responsible thing to do, is to have such a potentially large gathering of folks during that time, even with offering the vaccine at the space. So, between the Delta variant, the upcoming heat that we're going to face, and our interest right now, we felt that it was best that we just go ahead and cancel the event. And that would be a hard decision, but the best decision for all parties going. And so it was, difficult to, let Lil AJ know yesterday, in our Zoom meeting what I felt like needed to happen, going forward. So, you just don't want to have to give, kids that hard news. But at the same time, it's also a teachable moment. And as I said before, I believe that it's these situations that our youth need to understand is you're going to have to make some hard decisions and you're going to have to do some things. I'm just checking my volumes here. Sorry about that. Um, oops. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. But you're gonna have to make these hard decisions. I don't know why I've got some echo here. Well, let me close that. All right, there. That's better. Um, you're gonna have to make these hard decisions uh, that are going to not feel good. Definitely disappoint yourself and maybe a lot of folks. But at the end of the day, it's the greater good, and you've got to stand by that. And so I tried to explain that to him. And at the same time, we work with a lot of different folks. And in that, I sent a text out to one of our own. And what it said was strength is a lot of things. I'm summarizing here. But strength can equal doing the right thing when it is hard, when it is the hard thing, um, and we shouldn't have to do. So strength can equal doing the right thing, even when it's the hard thing and we shouldn't have to do it. Man, we shouldn't have to wear masks. We shouldn't have to get vaccinated, but we do. It's the hard thing, but it's the right thing. That's the strength. We really want to have this basketball tournament and provide a space for people to gather and have a good time, to create and cultivate community bonds. But right now, it's not the best thing to do. And sure, there are a lot of folks that are disappointed. There's a lot of money and cost involved. G2 spent a few $1,000s on trying to get this event off. And, we had received that grant from public health. And so we're going to return the money in full. And that's tough because there's consequences and costs to doing the right thing. But the right thing needs to be done. And so that is a teachable moment, a hard one for a 15-year-old. But it's one that, those lessons need to be, they need to be exposed to that and understand what's behind it and how you come to those decisions, right? You can fight, and it's not about giving up. You can fight and you can work as hard as you can to make a thing happen. But at some point, you have to, uh, say, hey, I'm not going to do go so far into something that I end up doing harm, right? I don't want to cut my nose to spite my face, so to speak. And so that's really what that's about. So, we're going to go ahead and cancel that tournament. We will do something in the near future. We're going to wait and see how these variants and everything kind of progress here over the next, I'd say, month or so. We'll let folks kind of get back into school. I think there's still a lot of uncertainty around that. Are we going to have school going to be open? Is there going to be an option for kids to continue to homeschool? Are kids going to need to mask? And because right now the decisions of our leaders have not been full throated and said, "Hey, you know what? You're gonna mask or you're not gonna mask." I mean, what are we going to see? So, are we potentially exposing our children to a dangerous situation by sending them to school if folks are feeling like, well, I don't have any problem with it. There's no issues. So just go on and keep living your life the way that you're doing it. And if folks get sick, then, well, I mean, that's just kind of on them. They should be healthier, or maybe it's just their time. Whatever the kind of cavalier sayings are kind of put out there in that way. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. So we're gonna just wait and see. There's a lot for us to continue to do to feed our food insecure, to try to assist with housing for those of us that have housing insecurities, and more of those folks are revealing themselves every single day, trying to build those soft skills and hard skills through job readiness and job training. So we've got a lot to do. Getting folks to their mental health appointments right now is just so critical, and not only getting there, whether it's a AA meeting or NA meeting or intensive inpatient or not inpatient outpatient care, to physical medical appointments, to mental health appointments. These things are all very important, right? We don't know what is going to happen with our infrastructure in regards to any of these things. So when you can go to the doctor, you need to go to the doctor. If you have ailments, if you have that thing that's just been nagging and you've been just living with it because you're so busy, because culturally you don't go to the doctor, right? Just put some dirt on it and keep going. Go to the doctor, guys. Go to the doctor. It's important. Don't let these things get out of control, where the remedy are simpler the earlier that you get to it. And you know kind of having the attitude, and I know because I've been one of those people, right? Well, if I don't go and they don't tell me, then it's not real, right? I can deal with whatever it is now. It's nagging, it doesn't feel great, but if I go, they're going to tell me something bad and it's going to be life altering. And so I'm just gonna just put my head in the sand and just deal with what is. Um, it's not a good way to deal with our health in that way, especially those of us in our community. But go, because again, with the variant in COVID, we don't know what the uncertainty is going to be. And so, there are some procedures that are deemed to be elective, but you really need it and it really affects your quality of life. There was a time when you couldn't get into the dentist the way that you wanted to. And I can tell you, I had a cracked tooth and that got repaired right before the 4th of July. Um, and man, I I couldn't even put a piece of bread on that side of my mouth. That's how bad it hurt. I cannot chew a slice of soft bread. Um, and so if I wasn't able to go in and do that because, we're in this kind of social distancing space, then, that's very impactful. So please go to the doctor, make your appointments, um, figure out what's going on with yourself. You need to be as healthy as you can possibly be. You don't need to wait until December 31st to have any New Year's resolution. You can start going to the gym. You can start changing your diet. You can start self care. You can do all these different things. You can do it today, right? Um, Working on positive self talk. There's all kinds of different things that you can do, and you don't need to wait. So please do that. Please do that. So very important. But again, strength can equal doing the right thing when it is a hard thing and it's something that we shouldn't have to do. Um, and that really is kind of the thought of the day that I hope that you can go with and understand, that strength is not, to me, necessarily powering through a thing just because that's what it is, right? There are things that we have to face and there are things that we have to walk through, but life is not a cliche, and we need to have the power of discernment when we think about um, the serenity prayer, right? God grant me the serenity. Um, the power of discernment is a very powerful gift to understand what you need to walk through and what you need to walk away from, as difficult as that can be. Um, I encourage you to do that. Be reflective on when maybe you've had to do that. Maybe you were forced. Maybe you you know, decided, and just reflect on that. Like, what was that catalyst? Did it Was that your choice to do it? Were you forced to do it? I mean, we could have pushed on. We could have tried to set up tents and potentially put the vaccines at risk because they're in, high temperatures, and could have lost some. waiting for folks to get vaccinated. We could have had a turnout of 200 people and, created a super spreader event, which would have been the direct opposite of what the purpose of the tournament was. Um, we could have had folks falling out from heat exhaustion because they're trying to compete or they're outside trying to win a raffle and having a good time. So, all these things could have happened, and we could have pushed through, and made this thing happen. I mean, we were definitely on that path, but I, to make the hard decisions, and I've made a lot, over the course of my lifetime. Uh, but and now my more wisdom uh, time uh, of age, the little white gray hairs, uh, it makes it easier to make those hard decisions, and it makes it easier to um, make those decisions and be confident in those decisions and not, second guess, my thought, oh, was it the right thing to do? Should I have done this? Maybe I should have kept going. And I just don't know. No, this was the decision that needed to be made. That's a decision that I stand by, and whatever the potential consequence of that is, either seen or not seen, then that is what I stand by. And so the things that I see is, obviously the loss of um, revenue that's come into G2 to push this thing on. And for me, in my position as a leader, my job is to try to mitigate and minimize any potential harm that can come to anyone. And so whenever I can take that harm onto myself, then I will do that. Uh, because my intent is never to do any harm, uh, and I'm let's say God, I've put myself in a position that I can take those things on, and then can absorb much more than typical people. And so because of that, that is what I do. Um, and so yeah, I think that's really important. I'm curious to see what you folks. Sorry about that. It was extremely loud. Let me I gotta tell you, the one thing about Apple products is sometimes the word connected, you can be too connected. So let me tell you, let me turn this down. My phone is connected, my computers are connected, everything is like connected together. So on the one hand, it's like, oh man, this is so awesome and so cool. But then on the other hand, it's like, man, I am like literally connected everywhere. It's like, how do I disconnect from this thing? So, you're looking around like, what is going on? So it gets pretty crazy. But yes, I'm curious as to, what you think uh in regards to that. Do you have any examples of you making a hard decision? Ah, shout out there to Rob says I'm looking good and sounding good. Well, thank you, sir. As you can see, I'm in the new studio. Thanks to you and your son helping to make this look really nice and beautiful, and it's also allowing me to kind of sit back on. And you probably can't see it here in the color, but oh yeah, the couch is purple. Yeah, let me repeat that again. The couch is purple. I'm just saying, uh, Goodwill is your friend. I was walking around in Goodwill the other day and just said, hey, let me just walk over because I was looking for a new chair, right? So the one thing about these podcasts is, for those of you that know me, I've got a really bad back. Um, and so sitting down for long periods of time is tremendously painful. It does not feel good. And sitting in an office chair, I cycle through office chairs and I cycle through where I sit. I've got a sit and stand desk, and I do all these different things to try to get through the day. And but I'm also doing 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour podcasts, at times, and it really is it's a lot, right? And it's like, okay, well, you need to have something a little bit more comfortable to sit on. And the podcast is growing, and we're having more guests, and we've got our podcast on location. We've got our studio, outside studio. We have the studio here. And so it's like, okay, you got to figure out something that's going to be a little bit more comfortable, where you can kind of sit down and relax. And lo and behold, there was a purple couch at Goodwill, and it was like, I must have it. So I found the Precious, and the Precious had to come home. With the phone ringing was really loud in your Bluetooth. Yeah, I apologize for that. It definitely caught me off guard there. But yes, I found the Precious. It's a purple couch. It's got a little kind of a little chase piece on the end. It's like, oh man, it couldn't been any better. So yeah, it's like, oh man, I tell you, man, sometimes there's some gems. What are the odds that I'm redesigning the studio and a purple couch just materializes out of nowhere at Goodwill at that time? I don't even think I've even, when I started searching for couches, because I was like, ooh, it would be great to get a purple couch. I started searching for purple couches. But in all my years of purchasing and looking for furniture, I don't think I've ever seen a purple couch, because I wasn't rocking purple like that back in the day. But man, just so awesome. So pretty cool. It's nice and comfy, and looking forward to doing some more interviews here, which I think will be more comfortable for my guest than a folding chair, which is what it was before. Or we had these um, brown wood chairs, which are really beautiful, with a big black leather cushion on it, but the back was wood, and it really kind of reclines back, and it can't move. So it had a really good look, but I don't think it was just that comfortable. And I really do want it to be a comfortable kind of experience for folks. As some of the topics will be fun, but a lot of the topics that we talk about can be pretty tough. So, any way that I can try to make it comfortable for folks, that is one of the things that I want to do. So, super excited about that, and when you've got a small space, putting things on the wall help quite a bit. So, in another podcast, you can see I can't switch the camera because I'm kind of where I'm at, but our the studio TVs are mounted, and all the monitors, and just really kind of adds room, and declutters a lot of things. So just super excited about that. So excited for the upcoming podcasts that are coming up. I want to thank everyone for coming out Monday. We had almost 30 people at the podcast on Monday. I mean, that's the second one that we've done. We do them every second and fourth Monday. And our next topic will be about emergency management. So you won't want to miss that. And so I will continue to bring you information and talk about that. As you know, the anniversary of 9/11 is approaching. And so we wanted to make sure that we kind of covered uh, kind of those issues and the impact on our communities, and really getting ready. This pandemic caught us off guard, and we cannot continue to go forward being unprepared, right? We don't know what could happen, and no one could have. Well, I guess some people did predict this pandemic, um, but the average person couldn't predict it, and even the non-average person, the organizations and the entities, didn't respond to it very well. And so we have to learn from our experiences, and there is a lot for us to do. And unfortunately, what I've seen, and even myself, I'm even guilty of this, is as things have started to open up, it's like, all right, we're getting back to normal a little bit. I can go off and just kind of try to get back to life the way that it was, as much as it can be. But it's like, okay, so what did I learn from that? And am I ready for the next time something like this happens? They say we're due for the big earthquake here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're on a peninsula. So what happens when we get cut off? Or how are we going to get all the things that we need to get to take care of ourselves and our families? What are we going to? How are we going to be able to navigate and help the folks that we care about that don't live in our immediate households. So there's a lot of questions to answer there. What happens if we can't get, food and water for, a period of time? I know President Biden was talking about the fact that it's hurricane season, and you have all these natural disasters that happen down in the South and kind of Middle America, and it can cause people to have to shelter, right? Because their homes are destroyed and everything else. So what do you do then when you're already living in those spaces, but then you add a pandemic on top of it? Now you're putting all these folks together. So there's a lot of considerations, and that's one of the reasons why I'm encouraging folks to please go to the doctor and figure out what's going on with you. If you have dental work that you need done, if you need to get your eyes checked, go ahead and do that. If you've been having some feelings that have been lingering and just not positive, you've been angry or sad or depressed or just more anxious than normal, go and see a professional and have a conversation, and start that now. Don't wait until you're in a crisis. Our bodies, our minds are like exotic vehicles, right? They have to be maintained. You can't just put any kind of gas in it, and you got to take care of it. So please take care of your minds. Please take care of your bodies, folks, and don't wait, because when these crises hit. Um, and then we all kind of go and swoop in on the resources all at once, and then very few of us actually get access to it, and it overwhelms the infrastructure that exists. It burns out the people that are trying to provide the services to us, and it just makes the whole thing not work very well, and it really does restrict the access to folks. So please take care of yourself. It's really important. Stay cool today. Uh, as I said before, there is a heat advisory uh, that is set for today and tomorrow. It will still be hot this Saturday and Sunday. We'll be coming to you with some more information. I Now that I'm more fully back, as I said before, um, I'm back attending the meetings with different organizations. So Kitsap Public Health, shout out to them, still has their convening meetings. And just as Diana Sullivan from Poverty Management and Martitha May from um, ooh, formerly Kayak as a founder, I cannot remember the name of her organization right now, was saying that it's important that we get involved in the places that we weren't involved in before, right? So we can wait and have folks kind of dictate and create these policies and come up with these ideas with us not in mind, telling us what we think is best for us, or we can be the ones that actually sit in there, amass and gain that knowledge, and then make sure that suggestions that are proposed are relevant to our situation. So I encourage you. I thought that was really powerful, and they both ended up saying that, which is great, and it's very much true, right? The change that we want to see is going to be the change that we make happen, right? And that change is not going to be made by holding a sign. I'm sorry, you're going to have to do more than that. The change is not going to be from a tweet or a comment. Nope, you're going to have to do more than that. Um, you're going to have to start being in these spaces, prioritizing, be really being actively a part of the solution. That's truly what it's going to take. Um, I know that it's a lot, especially for many of us whose time is already super finite and don't have a lot of discretionary income or discretionary time to devote to a lot of different things. And it's not necessary for you to be on everything, but you do need to be on some things, because you need to know what's going on and how these decisions are made and what the decisions are, right? Oftentimes we're like, what are we doing? Why are we doing that? Who decided that was a good idea? And I was like, well, you could have known all that if you were part of it, right? And you would be surprised how powerful you are is your in your voice and the ideas uh, that you can bring to bear, uh, and really make the change that you want to see. So I really encourage you to do that. Um, you learn a lot. I think it's really interesting, and you just find that space that's interesting for you. It doesn't have to be. We can't do everything. We can't be in all places, but that's part of creating your network. So if you belong to a group, a church, or some other organization, maybe it's even sports, right? You've got a sports team or a recreation team that you play with. And it's like, hey, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do public health and I'm going to do emergency management and I'm going to do politics and I'm going to do housing. And you can bring all that stuff together and share that information amongst yourselves because you already have a community that you've established, right? And if you don't have a community, G2 can be that community for you, or you can create one. I mean, that's what I did. uh, so, again, I encourage you. What I want to leave you with today is going to ask for your prayer and your well wishes. One of our own, who is a fierce, fierce advocate for those that don't have a voice in the community, that needs so many different things. This person has just really been quite selfless and has sacrificed, their physical and their mental health for others. Right now is in the hospital and not doing well. I will be checking on that person later on today and seeing uh, what little I can do to try to make that stay as comfortable as possible. But again, prayers and well wishes to that person. This work isn't easy, and I think a lot of times people um, maybe read wrong that you're part of an organization, you're part of an infrastructure, and while you can say you alone can make a difference, and you're not going to change everything. And change is not typically rapid or overnight. And while you're doing that work, not only are you fighting to work against the issues and the discrepancies or the inequities that exist in the space that you're in, right? And you're passionate about that, which is tremendously draining. But you're also fighting against the institution itself to make those changes, right? And so you're being that tall blade of grass that typically gets cut because you're not willing to go along to get along. You often fight against the people that you're trying to help, right? You're trying to help them and they're attacking you for whatever reason. Part of it is they're frustrated and they're angry and you're accessible and you're there. And while we can understand that from a logical standpoint, it still doesn't feel good because it's like, look, I'm here advocating for you. I don't have to do that, especially those of us that have organizations, right? There's nothing that compels us to do this for you. Um there's no law or anything else that says, oh, Marwan will do this and this is how he will do this and he will make time available for you to do whatever it is that you want or need to do. I don't have to do any of it, right? I do it because I choose to do it, and I can do it to the capacity to which I can do it for. But at the same time, those that you are helping can burn you out and run you into the ground and may actually care less because they're so focused on, their own issue and their own plights that they can give a damn, right? I mean, those are facts. And so, again, I'm done with not having a full range of emotions as a heterosexual black male. So I help because I choose to help to the capacity to which I can help. Uh, but I can and will bow out whenever that needs to happen. You know, um, it is what it is. So um, I think that's important, especially when I see someone who is now hospitalized uh, and the direct catalyst is taking on something that wasn't their fight, right? And so the folks that they were helping, one, won't know, and quite frankly, there are quite a few of them that really could give a damn. And that's sad. You know what I mean? But it's like, hey, it's hard for everybody. So, hope you get well. Deuces. That's kind of the attitude on it. Um, what's the next tool that can help me? And so it is hard to continue to stay positive and strong in the midst of that. And then when you add decades of that, you can see how someone can end up hospitalized, right? Oftentimes, a lot of this work is very thankless, and it does take very special people that sit in these spaces and take it from every angle um, to try to make a difference in people's lives for the positive. So, all right, I'm getting off track there, but that is important. I just wanted to just ask for the prayers and the well wishes for that particular person. Um, but a lot of that has to do with the work that they're doing, and that's put them in that scenario. So, anyhow, again, guys, it's August 12th. It is 10 a.m. Hot, 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 hot today. Please stay cool. Please take care of yourself. So very important. If you need a ride, G2 360-373-3000. It's Thursday, so we will be delivering our meals today to our kids. Shout out to everyone. Please take care of yourself and take care of each other. I will probably see you tonight.